Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel, and this is Musical Artists A Conversation. On today's podcast episode, we have Versus Vitality joining us today.
Welcome to the limelight.
Versus Vitality is an up and coming five-piece band from Chicago. Today, we'll be talking about their experience so far playing in the city, how they won second place at Columbia College Chicago's Biggest Mouth in their first single senior year. How are you guys all doing today?
Doing really good.
Good, good.
Great, great. Thank you guys again for joining. Um, I wanted to ask first if you could all go around, introduce yourselves, just your name and what role you have in the band.
I'll go first. I'm Cash. I play the bass in Versus Vitality, and I try and uh, accentuate whatever bounce off other people, and just try and make a groove.
I'll go next. I'm Tommy. I'm the drummer for Versus Vitality, and I really bounce off of Cash. Yeah.
I'm Greta. I'm the singer, lyricist. I also do a lot of the managerial, social media type stuff for the band.
I'm Rose. I am one of two guitarists. I like to do a lot of the writing and making sure things stay appropriately strange.
I'm Jonas. I also play guitar. I also like doing a lot of the writing. I think that's cool about it. We've all done a lot of writing, so that's pretty cool.
Cool. Thank you. Usually, the first question that I ask artists is a guess, what are all your individual backgrounds in music? Like, how did you guys all get started in music and eventually come here to an art school in Chicago?
Well, I played in bands and I do currently around like just the Cleveland band scene. It's actually funny how we met as a band was because I played with this kid named Luca from Cleveland who did this thing called School of Rock, which Greta I'm sure we'll talk about. And like they met there and he was like, Jonas, this really good singer is going to the college you're going to. You need to link up. So that's how that actually started. But yeah, I'll let her talk about School of Rock.
Yeah, I was in School of Rock. I'm one of the few members of this band who were in School of Rock for 8 years. That's where a lot of my experience came. I did other musical stuff, but that was probably my biggest growing point. It was School of Rock, and yeah, summer of 23, I did this thing called All Stars, where I went on tour with kids from all around the country, and one of those kids was Luca. And after that tour, he was just like, "Hey, there's this kid that's going to Columbia who likes music. Should check him out."
Coincidentally, I wasn't even uh, in on this side of things at this point, but I also met Luca while touring with School of Rock. So we all just coincidentally know this one person that kind of connects all of us or most of us. And yeah, I was brought on later because they were looking for they mostly formed and they needed a bassist. And my friend Frankie knew Jonas from Cleveland, and they messaged or she talked to me about it, and I sent in an audition. And I had previously played in bands in the Minneapolis scene, so that was my kind of background. Mostly doing kind of heavier metal, kind of punk stuff. But this is kind of a change for me in doing something a little bit more kind of alt rock, a little more I don't want to say poppy, but a little catchier and more, I don't know, generally appealing, less niche.
I was also a School of Rock kid, though I had a different connection with the band. Um, I was Greta's roommate first semester, uh, and the fact that we ended up meeting was complete coincidence. But we bonded over the fact that I was also a School of Rock person, and we fell into the groove of making music and doing stuff like that really quick.
I don't know this Luca guy, but he sounds really cool. Um, I was roommates with Jonas first semester, and like I heard like the combo of like, yeah, this was really good singer. Her name's Greta. You should meet her. And then it grew from like, oh, we're all like at the calf, like eating and like vibing to like everyone jamming out. And then it just like progressed to more and more. And like for me, this has just been like a really like fun ride. This is my first time in a rock band. But I've been playing rock music for years. I originally started off as a gospel drummer. My mom was in a gospel group for much of my childhood. And yeah, so I saw like a lot of different aspects of music, but I really wanted to go into like the rock category because that was most of my music taste as a kid. I listened to a lot of rock. Um, so yeah, I met all of these beautiful people and we just started like really locking in. I feel like as soon as we all like really like set the time aside to like connect and stuff.
Hmm.
I think my favorite thing about when Jonas came to me and was like, "Hey, so my roommate's actually a drummer," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he's just like, "Yeah." He asked to put up a Paramore poster in her
I
apartment. I was like,
did.
"Oh
This is
shit.
true.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't regret it.
bring him
I'll
on."
do it again.
That's actually one of the questions I did want to ask was, I guess, what are some influences and inspirations that you guys personally look to when you are writing your own songs, and how have you used all of your individual, I guess, motivators to create your unique sound?
I I'll list mine off really quickly and just like get it out the way. Um, First, I know Greta's gonna mention Paramore too, but I'm gonna say Paramore. Paramore, Deftones, Nonpoint, Smashing Pumpkins, Avenged Sevenfold, Bring Me the Horizon, and those are like my like top six. I listen to a lot of hardcore stuff, but I also really love like a delicacy to it in an aspect, and like a lot of our songs have like a very like delicate and like melodic top melody with a lot of hard movement behind it, and like yeah, it's perfect. Sounds really good. Yeah.
That interplay between hard and soft elements, things that are more rhythmic and melodic, is something that I think we do pretty well. Personally, I come from a background of doing a little bit of everything out of School of Rock. I had a little bit of jazz training and a little bit of did a lot of work on video game soundtracks and other stuff like that. And we have a lot of really diverse background and inspiration, which is why our songs end up sounding equally as diverse.
I know you guys were talking about earlier how you guys are in different bands and you have experiences with other groups. And since you guys are five people all coming together, having some similarities, a lot of differences, what is it like writing music? What is your process of coming up with songs and lyrics and everything and trying to fit in all of your ideas as one?
I'll go on this one. Basically the way things started, usually it was Jonas coming up with like a kind of a riff that we'd write around, and I would try and interplay with it and find like a kind of melody that goes against it, but also works with it. And then uh, Tommy would just really bring the beat in, and um, I feel like yeah, it kind of worked from the ground up a little bit. There's definitely stuff where I tried to contribute some of the structure to it and try and you know arrange it, sort the different sections out. Um, and I think a lot of the melodic stuff and really the catchiness of it can be attributed to Greta. But I feel like yeah, me and Tommy, we really try and lock in and kind of you know bring the energy.
You know, there's something truly magical about a rhythm section, you know, your bassist and your drummer when they really mesh. And I have never played with a bassist and drummer who mesh and like interlock together like gears than Tommy and Cash. Uh, when we have written, um, most of the time, you know, somebody comes in with a riff idea and we just sort of mess around. Um, ooh, I bet that would sound cool. Wait, what if we did this thing? And then, slowly we flesh out parts and see where the song may take us.
Yeah, and then after usually I sit back and let these four kind of like take the wheel on that, and get like a song going. Like there's a beginning, there's an end, there's parts, and when I feel like that is pretty solidified, I'll go into my notes app and or I'll go home and I'll write something and come up with like a melody line, lyrics, bring it in, kind of play around with those, and then after running this song a couple times, it kind of starts to solidify.
Yeah, I don't think, in my opinion, and this might be biased because I'm in the band, but I don't think like Greta's ever written us like ever written lyrics that didn't like connect with the song like this. Like senior year really like put that into perspective because like I was in distro kid, I'm like syncing the lyrics and I'm like, wait, okay. Okay. So like everything definitely like Rose and Greta said, like just like falls together. And a lot of the brainstorming is done within our rehearsals. Like Cash and I will like go through different grooves. We'll hear the riff and just kind of like lock something in. And I feel like that's how most of the songs kind of like formulate when we're in rehearsal and we're just bouncing off of each other because we're all like in that natural element and we all click very well, which makes it a lot easier. Um, so we're all like very open and like responsive to each other and like we also give very good feedback. Um, yeah, that's big for me. Like hearing that feedback and like knowing like, okay, this sounds good here, but Cash said I should play this here and not there, and that makes sense. So yeah, like being like willing and open to like feedback internally that makes the group like overall really, really good.
I think the big thing about that is we're also all multi-instrumentalists, so we know how to talk to each other about the instruments we're playing. Like, I feel like if we all just played the one instrument we did, it would be a lot harder to communicate, like, hey, maybe this drum group would sound good here. Maybe you should do this on the bass. Maybe we should have this guitar lick. Like, we all can play multiple instruments and understand them.
Tommy, you just mentioned senior year, which I believe came out yesterday, correct? Yes. Awesome. Congratulations, by the way. I wanted to ask you guys how it feels putting out your first single, and I know you guys had previously performed senior year on stages before, so what it feels like to take it from in person to finally putting out on music platforms.
For me personally, it was crazy because I had actually been working on that riff sort of for like 2, 3 years, maybe, like not that long, probably like 2 years. I had like played it with a different band before. I tried to record it, it kind of left it in a demo. So like it felt crazy, like bring that to rehearsal, and then just like it immediately was like probably a fan favorite, at least with a lot of my friends when we played it. And it was just cool how like it never worked before, but when I brought it here, every single time we like it just worked and it worked and it worked with everything we did.
Yeah, I'll speak because I was the one mixing the single, and I was involved with just getting everything up to production before we released it. Tommy's the one who handled the distribution part of it. Basically, like after immediately after we recorded it, I tried going through a few different drafts of the mix and trying to get it as good as I could, but there were some tracks that just weren't fitting. So I got some feedback from a professional and we retracked some stuff, mainly guitars. Then I got the mix sounding a lot better. And then after that point, I reached out to my friend Kevin, who works at Greenway Studios. He previously mastered my band Barnacles EP back in May. And that EP is called Trenches. It's out everywhere. And yeah, that was a pretty easy process working with him. That got done within a couple weeks, and yeah, there was a lot of revision that had to happen, just because it's my first time releasing something that I mixed, but I feel pretty happy with it. Yeah, it was a fun process doing that, and I'm glad that it's out.
It's one thing to upload your own demos or projects you've worked on to SoundCloud, and then it's another thing to work and perform with a band and then have a song that collectively you've all put a huge amount of effort into on Spotify and on other streaming services. It makes it all feel really, really real, and that's a very powerful experience. You have this piece of art that, as a group, you've poured your heart and soul into, and now very easily you can share it with people, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think watching the whole process, from my point of view, the whole process of the recording, like from getting into the 33 building and like working with that team of people, they were so like great and they accommodated us literally as best as they could. And like it was such a fun experience. They were very like open, and even their feedback too was like really helpful as well when we were in those early stages of recording. And then just like going in some days with Cash and Greta and like watching Cash mix, and we're just like trying to figure out like, oh, this sounds like okay, yeah, like that was really fun for me, like just watching the whole process, because like Rose said, it's different when you're making your own music and just putting it out on SoundCloud, because I have my own solo career and I'm just like making music and like putting it out, just doing it. But like it's different when you're in a collective group of people that we all believe and trust in each other to produce something so great. And it was just really fun to witness that. And then like on the distribution side, like I learned a lot of things, especially with like the lyric sync and stuff. Like that was fun. It was a day. But yeah, overall, it's just been really fun. Like I've learned so much just from this first release, because this is my first time like releasing something with a band. Like it's really cool. It's really cool.
I think I'm the only member of this band who has not previously released anything original before. So this is actually my first time putting out an original work on a streaming service. So I don't know, it's been so crazy, especially thinking about like where it came from, like sitting in Jonas's apartment while they're like, yeah, so there's this really cool goofy riff that I came up with and the tuning's so whack. And I'm just like, ooh, I like this. Honestly, it was one of those songs that originally, when we were putting together like our first set list for this gig, it wasn't originally on there. And I just remember walking down Wabash at like 11 o'clock with Jonas and Tommy, and I was just like, we need, like, this song has got a lot of potential. We need to do something with it. And then we started bringing it in, and it like turned into this just like absolute bomb of a song, and it was genuinely one of my favorites to perform because everything just seemed to flow so well together. And like when we started recording it and talking about releasing it, and I was just like, this song is my baby, I love it so much and I want everyone else to love it just as much. And now it's out and I feel like a little soccer mom, just like, look at my child.
That's one thing I will say about this song that was particularly fun. It felt really good to play off the bat. Like as soon as like Jonas started playing that lick, it just came together quickly. It was at the end of a rehearsal, like the tail end. We had like maybe 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes left. And yeah, I mean it came together and we were like, shit, we got to record this to remember it, and remember how that felt. So that was kind of a goofy moment, but it ended up leading to something that I think we're all really proud of. So
I don't know if y'all remember. I don't know if y'all remember, but like this also was like really a confirming like yes, this we need to drop this first, was when we were at Biggest Mouth and we were playing. I think that was like my first time performing on a stage that big like ever in my life. And like just like the reception of that afterwards, and like I still go back and watch those videos, like man, like if anything shows like resonation within like band to audience, like that did. I think that was really like one of those like this is it. Like this has to be it moments, I think.
Especially being in a newer band, and for some of you, this is your first time releasing original music, like you said, first time working all together. What has that experience been performing on bigger stages such as Biggest Mouth and Manifest?
Let's just say honestly really intimidating at first because like bigger stages, bigger crowds, bigger expectations, like Biggest Mouth. I remember we were all so like y'all we wanna do all this, we wanna win this, so we like it was just so much thought put into um the songs we chose and what we were gonna wear and how we were gonna perform them and like any like synced little dance moves we were gonna do. And then Manifest was kind of the same idea. It was all like really at like I just remember personally there's a lot of anxiety going up to it for such big like events, but then being on that stage and like um actually doing it was um probably some of the most like euphoric one of the most euphoric performances I've done, and I've done a lot of performances in my life. I think Biggest Mouth was actually probably one of my top 3 shows.
That's Biggest Mouth performance was one of those, and then also our first time performing the song, we got a great audience reaction. People were really gunning for us. Um, Especially with we have a lot of the song we're kind of just noodling all over it a little bit, kind of letting our own personal uh, you know, talents shine through. There's a lot of solo moments, which is, it's a certain point. It's kind of I don't know what to think of it, but if people still dig it, then I completely get it from my perspective.
It was a really unique experience. I've performed on plenty of stages. I've performed on some pretty big stages with decently sized crowds, but to go out there and have pieces of music that are your own, things that again, you and your band have put in so much effort into, and then to have, you can feel the energy in the crowd. It's a very powerful experience.
Yeah, I agree. It like I haven't seen a crowd like that quickly into starting a band ever. It was pretty crazy, and it really showed, kind of the atmosphere that we have at in Chicago and at Columbia, where there's really a lot of people kind of building other people up when, they like something, and people are seem really dedicated to forming a fan base.
I definitely relate to like the anxiety. Like before Biggest Mouth, I know everybody remembers. I was like, oh, you're like panicking. Like I was like, bro, I don't even remember the songs. Like, what song are we? What song are we? Like, what songs are we doing again? And like, I kind of like run myself through it. And then there's like that, and then like also like what to wear, because that for me is really big. Like the look. I don't know what pictures are out on the web, but most of our like shows I have like had like a very like outlandish look, and it's always on purpose, but like there's so much thought behind that. But like I'm like, yeah, the music, like I have to be playing really good for me to like think about like painting myself silver. Um there's a lot of like factors that go into that. But I haven't really performed at super big venues. Um I usually was like in marching band or pep band or like one of the bands that were associated with school. So like it was always pretty small. But like experiencing like these really big situations with like a group that I'm so comfortable with, like really reassures me a lot. And it's like, yeah, like it's not so scary after all. It just looks scary, in hindsight. Yeah.
Once you step onto the stage with people that you care about and you play music that you love, it that anxiety starts to go away. you lose yourself in the performance and the crowd and the music.
This is kind of a closing out question, but I just wanted to ask, especially as you guys are talking about growing, building a fan base, as you were saying, do you guys have upcoming projects to release for your fans? I don't know, like music videos, more bigger performances. You just came out with a song, so anything else in the works?
Well, you can definitely expect more singles from us in the future. We plan to record while we're all well, most of us are in Chicago. Um, and yeah, I'd say as far as music videos, we haven't had anything set up, but we would definitely love to do that. So just expect anything.
Shout out any videographer who wants to work with us.
Yeah, we're always looking to work.
Would you like to shout out what your Instagram handle is real quick so we can find you?
At versus Vitality, all one word.
Shout out to the fans. Shout out to the fans. Like I low-key forgot about that. Shout out to the people that made versus Vitality like rise so meteorically in like a year. It's been a year now, I think. Yeah. So shout out to the supporters. Shout out to other bands. Shout out to my mom. I love you, mom. I mean, shout out Cash's mom and Greta's mom and Rose's mom.
Yeah, shout out Tommy's mom, man. I would not be here.
Shout out my mom.
Shout out to my mom. Shout out to haters also.
Shout out the haters. The non-versus Vitality years.
The versus
Versus whose?
the versus no vitalities.
The versus the unversus Vitalities.
Would the haters be like would the haters be like joined death or something? What's the opposite of versus?
I don't even know.
You don't need to include this.
That's all for this episode. Thank you, Versus Vitality, for being on the Limelight podcast. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you at the next one.